Good evening. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Newsdesk. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember that we are going to be giving you news items that have been making headlines throughout the day. You can alternatively also utilize our social media platforms as well as our website for you to catch up on some of these stories. Coming up shortly are the headlines. Sampa petitions court to nullify 2023 PF convention that elected him as president. Lab technician among 4 dead in Silverest Road tragedy. And Lusaka City Council demolishes 100 illegal stalls along Tokyo Way. I'll be right back with more of the details. Good evening once again. Thank you for joining us on the news desk at 20 hours to present today's edition. My name is Justin Mulenga. Let's start off with the first news item. Matero Member of Parliament Mao Sampa has asked the Lusaka High Court to nullify the 2023 convention that elected him as PF president. Mr. Sampa says the party should hold a fresh convention that allows all past and new aspiring candidates to contest. In this matter, 9 PF members of parliament, led by Mporokoso Member of Parliament Brian Mundubile, are challenging Mr. Sampa's October 24, 2023 election as president. The court is yet to rule on the matter.
On October 24, 2023, Matero Member of Parliament Mao Sampa was elected as Patriotic Front president following a party convention that was held in Kabwe. Arising from this election, Mr. Sampa made various decisions, including expelling 9 Patriotic Front members of parliament from the party on December 6, 2023. Those expelled included Mtotwe Kafwaya, Stephen Kampyongo, Mulenga Fue, and Brian Mundubile, among others. In this matter, the 9, led by Brian Mundubile, further sued the Matero MP, asking the Lusaka High Court to quash his election as president. They asked the court to grant them a permanent injunction restraining Mr. Sampa from holding himself as PF president and a further declaration that he contravened their party regulations and electoral guidelines. Mr. Mundubile and others further requested for a declaration that he contravened the Patriotic Front constitution. When the matter came up for trial before High Court Judge Nyamazulu in the chambers, Mr. Sampa consented into court that the PF convention that was held in 2023 and elected him as president need to be nullified. He argues that this is in order for all parties to go back on another convention that will allow all that may have applied as candidates and those that wish to apply now to do so. He argues that they trust that then a president will emerge that will have consensus from all stakeholders in the party and that it is the best route to take, and more so given the unfortunate demise of President Edgar Lungu. Patriotic Front chairperson for elections George Chisanga addressed the press shortly after the court session.
Been on for a long time. They wanted the court to just determine on the single issue that has arisen in this matter, which is whether that convention complied with the constitution or not. And today, that is the time that the court had given for us to determine. I can't discuss the merits of the case because I will be delving into contempt. I would rather the court makes a determination. But just very briefly, our lawyers were trying to persuade the court, to decide by interpreting the constitution of the Patriotic Front that guides elections, and also then deciding whether or what Mr. Sampa and his team did on that day fully complied with the constitution.
What awaits is the court's ruling on a date soon to be announced. Best Jerry, reporting for Diamond News.
Now, in some unfortunate news, a 36-year-old Chongwe District Hospital lab technician, Winston Mutapa, is among 4 people who died in a crash on Wednesday near Petroda filling station in Silverest along the Great East Road. Police say a truck heading to Lusaka veered into the opposite lane, colliding head-on with a Toyota Vitz carrying 4 occupants. The driver, Brian Wense, and 2 other unidentified passengers also died. The truck driver was injured and taken to the hospital as well.
On Wednesday afternoon, a tragic car crash in Silverest area along Great East Road claimed 4 lives. Among the deceased was a 36-year-old laboratory technician from Chongwe District Hospital, Winston Mupata. Police have confirmed that at around 16:20 hours, a Volvo truck veered into the opposite lane and crashed head-on into a Toyota Vitz, crashing the smaller vehicle.
Preliminary investigations indicate that the accident occurred when the Volvo truck, approaching from the Chongwe direction towards Lusaka, failed to keep to its near side and collided with the Toyota Vitz, which was coming from the opposite direction and had the right of way. The truck came to rest on top of the Toyota Vitz. Police are conducting further investigations into the circumstances of this fatal road traffic accident.
As if this was not tragic enough, just about 2 weeks ago, another devastating collision occurred on Thursday, 24th July 2025 at the Lunga Bridge along the Solwezi-Chingola Road. A Zeong Tong bus carrying 36 passengers collided with the truck transporting a protruding abnormal load despite advance warnings from an escort vehicle. 7 passengers were killed instantly. The injured were rushed to Solwezi General Hospital, while here in Lusaka, the bodies of the deceased have been deposited at Chongwe District Hospital mortuary, awaiting formal identification and post-mortem examinations. Mr. Mutapa leaves behind a spouse and 2 children. Elfie Mwale Shampande.
We would like to send our heartfelt condolences to the bereaved family, and may God rest the souls of those who lost their lives in these road traffic accidents. We move on to the next news item. The Lusaka City Council has demolished 100 makeshift stalls along Lusaka's Tokyo Way. Some traders displaced are asking for a legal and dignified trading site. The traders say they are not against the removal, but they need a place where they can lawfully operate to support their families. Lusaka City Council says it is open to dialogue, but insists trading under high voltage lines is hazardous and was already prohibited.
Since 2011, many of these traders have earned their living along the Tokyo Way, operating beneath high-voltage power lines. This busy stretch is also a key route leading to Community House, the residence of President Hakainde Hichilema. But now, the sudden demolition of their makeshift stores by the Lusaka City Council has left them stranded. Their appeal is simple: to be relocated to a dignified trading space where they can support their families and make ends meet.
Because nasengatizwa pezera point stizare kotantika muno. Because the bear market kuno kuchala rice. Bagamba ati bana tosalamule oti mandemba apwanyiwa na president. Atuzafuna mo chintu chichonse muno mapo line.
Namo mtauni batipisha futi. Tubwere muno mkomboni batipisha. Manje tizaenda kuti. Basakirire kwinango wakati at least bakagamba ati yendani kankale ni hapa. Muzambo tako something like kulipira ko kama tax. Kulipe problem.
Ni sofevo kulomba chaiwa kwa chawe niyo opufe tulelomba kwa kwati batufayila kwa twingale bombila kwa twingale sangira kwa kali konsaka kwa cha triste tule sunga kwa bana munishi yefya kustafya shopa na ita mtu afika kwa hapa mandi ifintu fyaka tasho kwa kuti so.
Diamond News spoke to Lusaka City Council Public Relations Manager Chola Mwamba.
And we issued notices as well as warning, but they were adamant to follow the law. They ignored the notices and the warnings. So we were left with no option but to go on the ground and clear them. Lusaka City Council would like to urge members of the public, whenever they want to do business, they can come and engage the local authority, because the local authority is the local authority for the people, and we want people to be productive. So therefore, would like them to engage us so that we give them places for them to do business that are designated. Areas that are not designated for trade are not allowed, and would like people to follow the guidelines that are stipulated by the local authority where issues of trading is concerned.
With their concerns now on record, the question remains: where and when will these traders be legally allowed to operate in a dignified manner? Best Jere, reporting for Diamond News.
In some international relations news, President Hakainde Hichilema has reaffirmed Zambia's friendship with the United States, calling it cordial and based on shared values. Speaking in Livingston during a meeting with U.S. congressional members, Mr. Hichilema commended U.S. partnerships in various sectors and pledged to strengthen the ties.
Aboard a Proflight aircraft, Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema touched down to a thunderous welcome from government officials and jubilant Livingston residents. Soon after his arrival, President Hichilema met with a visiting U.S. congressional delegation, where he reiterated Zambia's deep appreciation for the enduring partnership between the two nations.
We would like this partnership to grow, to be deepened. We do understand the new administration's thrust on how they want to curve or structure these partnerships with countries across the world. But we want to assure you that Zambia is committed to our relationship, and also extending for us on a regional basis, SADC, our regional group here, the African continent. I think we would like to remain an integral member of the U.S. relationship, if you like, a package of that.
The delegation reaffirmed America's commitment to strengthening relations with Zambia and the wider sub-Saharan African region.
We are here in large part to discuss issues of global health, food insecurity and malnutrition, agriculture, development assistance, and also the general political environment in this part of the world. So we are here to learn.
Discussions centered on expanding cooperation in key sectors such as trade, investment and governance, with both sides pledging to advance shared goals and mutual interests. Gabriel Jasias Mova, Diamond News, Southern Zambia.
We'll take a break. When we return, the business news update is coming up with Tapio Ngoma, but for now I leave you with the weather update.
Business News is brought to you by Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank. Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank, making tomorrow possible.
Pleasant good evening. You're watching the Diamond News Desk at 8. My name is Tapio Ngoma. Let's take a look at stories that are on the Business News Desk this evening. Government pushes for gemstone value addition to boost jobs. And later on, ZX Fund urges entrepreneurs to seize $25 million opportunity amid low uptake. We also have the cautious performance on the international market, and we'll close it off with our commodity prices. Stay tuned. Let's dive into the stories and see what is making these headlines this evening. With our first story this evening, starting with the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Chipoka Mlenga, urging gemstone producers in Zambia to begin adding value to their products, stressing the need for the country to position itself as the leading exporter of processed gemstones. Speaking during a consultative meeting with gemstone stakeholders in Lusaka on Thursday, Mr. Mlenga says value addition in the sector would create more jobs and stimulate economic growth. Meanwhile, Emerald and Semi-Precious Stones Association of Zambia President Victor Kalesha has expressed concern over non-implementation of President Hakainde Hichilema's directive that 20% of the country's emerald production should be retained locally for value addition.
Zambia's gemstone sector remains one of the country's key mining industry, with emeralds among the top exports accounting for a major share of global supply. But concerns are growing over the lack of value addition. Most of Zambia's gemstones are exported in raw form, a situation that has prompted Commerce, Trade and Industry Minister Chipoka Mlenga to urge sector players to invest in value addition if the industry is to realize its full growth potential.
We need to start giving value addition to these gemstones that we have. And the time is now. And we should do it. I'm not saying we're not doing it immediately today. We need to have a phased approach on how we do it. So I'm bringing it to all of you here as CEOs, Kagem, Gemfields, Zambia Association of Manufacturers, Mr. Ashu Saga, you are here. This is something that I strongly feel you should be running with on a daily basis. Director, PS, from industry and others, we're here. We need to start processing our emeralds. We need to start, before we even start talking about these auctions that we talk about, because I see these auctions happening, which is very good, but they're auctions from here, which you mine here, and we put an auction center somewhere else, away from here. But it's high time we don't only pride in being the biggest producer, we also start to pride ourselves being the biggest seller of processed things while we transition to the auction part. I'm not very much in good with these auctions. I need to learn from someone.
Emeralds and Semi-Precious Stones Mining Association of Zambia President Victor Kalesha has also expressed concern over the non-implementation of President Hakainde Hichilema's directive for 20% of the country's emerald production to be retained locally for processing.
When the president makes a pronouncement, it becomes policy, I stand to be corrected, and the president made a pronouncement that we should be leaving 20% of the Zambian produced emeralds into the country for value addition. Until now, nothing has happened, meaning everything that happens falls into deaf ears. I don't know what you, under your ministry and your colleague at Ministry of Mines, took that for when the president made that pronouncement at Sierra, because it was recorded and you still have it on record. 20% should remain. Where is the 20%?
Meanwhile, Association of Women in Mining President Namakao Kaingu has called for uniformity in gemstone pricing, saying this would ensure fair returns for players across the sector.
Talk about is pricing of our gemstones. All these colleagues of mine who are sitting there will agree with me. At country level, I think we need to put in place Russian, so that at least if you are in Kasama, and then you say, I want to buy this amethyst, the person who is selling should be able to tell, no, the price is like this. And when the person argues, the person can even say, no, at country level, this is our pricing, whatever, so I can give you at this much. Otherwise, we are losing so much.
Right, when the big boys come to us and say, we would like for you to supply us with the Zambian tourmaline, the Zambian emerald. We're not just talking about emeralds. We have 20 other species of gems in Zambia. This is the knowledge that is lacking. I mean, just the tourmaline, starting from Kapiri, going to Mukushi, Serenji, to Chipata and Yimba. 60 colors of tourmaline. Why are we keeping on talking about emeralds and amethyst? Yes, amethyst is the Royal Siberian amethyst. Why is it called Siberian? It's the Royal Zambian amethyst. Right? We have a very good gamma localization and radiation going on in Makatizia Kiloma, where we have the strongest colors with the red flashes. And then we have Winilunga. But it starts from a basic education of not knowing it.
Stakeholders say with proper pricing structures, local processing and the enforcement of policy directives, Zambia's gemstone sector could significantly increase its contribution to the economy. Rachel Mumba for Diamond News.
The Zambia Export Development Fund, ZX Fund, has underscored the need to build the capacity of entrepreneurs to ensure they are well prepared to run sustainable businesses. Speaking during a breakfast meeting in Lusaka on Thursday, ZX Fund manager Dr. David Chewe revealed that despite the fund having $25 million available, applications received so far amount to only $6 million. Dr. Chewe urged more entrepreneurs to take advantage of the facility, noting that the main challenge is not access to funding, but the ability to present bankable and well-structured business proposals.
Which is the issue of entrepreneurs' readiness to run a business. We need to enhance capacity. And that's why our call to the business service providers, let's work together and let's enhance the readiness status of these entrepreneurs. I would like to report to you that at the moment, we do have some pipeline transactions. Out of that 25 million, we have around $6 million. Potentially, there could be transactions that will be funded. But we need to increase the uptake. We also need to make sure that we get more people to come on board so that we can go and get more money. It's not money which is a problem. Access to money is not a problem. Our challenge has been transactions. We don't have bankable transactions. So we need to work with entrepreneurs to make sure that their transactions can be financed. So the funding that I talked about, the $25 million, is not at commercial rates. It is taking into consideration the developmental considerations. And because of that, we would expect that when an entrepreneur has been sufficiently prepared, they should have access to this money. Amongst the people that are attending this workshop today are people who we call as business service providers, or the technical people, consultants who help entrepreneurs to address some of the structural problems so that we can solve this problem. So we are hopeful that the next update we'll be giving to you, I'll be telling you about how out of that $6 million we would have gotten the real disbursements and the jobs and the exports, because that's how we work. We track for every dollar that we give an entrepreneur, how much are they generating in foreign exchange earnings, and how much are they creating, how many jobs are they creating, so that we can show that at least the dollar that we've given out has helped to reduce poverty.
We shall have more in business this evening. Let's now take a look at the Kwacha's performance. Your money markets this evening will show you the Kwacha's trade-off against the United States dollar. Let's start with the buying price of the USD at 23 Kwacha 16 ngwe, and it was selling at 23 Kwacha 53 ngwe. These rates are brought to you by the Zambia National Commercial Bank. Those are the money markets. Let's shift our attention now to see the construction commodity prices. The construction commodity prices this evening brought to you by the Zambia National Building Society. A closer look here shows our first item this evening. It's a walkie-talkie, and this will cost you, the pair, will cost you about 2,760 kwacha. Let's now take a look at our next item on our commodity prices, a very handy garden dump cart, and this will cost you nothing more than 2,500 kwacha. These are construction commodity prices brought to you by the Zambia National Building Society, ZNBS. Let's close it off with our commodity prices. Our commodity prices this evening, starting with our food items, are a little something like this. 1 kg of beef at an average of 110 kwacha. A kg of sugar, nothing more than 37 kwacha. If you're a baker, you need flour. That's going at 89 kwacha on average. Some eggs will start at 95 kwacha for a tray. Some cooking oil, 5 liters, will cost you nothing more than 300 kwacha. And 25 kg bag of breakfast mini meal is going for nothing more than 310 kwacha. Stay where you are. Non-food items are up next. Let's see how much you'll be purchasing. These 10 rolls of toilet paper has been at 85 kwacha on average. A bar of multi-purpose soap between 35 and 45 kwacha. 3.5 kg of washing powder is the lowest price of 220. Closing it off with hand wash liquid. That'll cost you an average of 45 kwacha. These altogether are your commodity prices. And that concludes our business this evening. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll continue with the rest of the news desk at 8. My name is Tapiwa Ngoma. Have a pleasant evening.
Business News was brought to you by Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank. Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank, making tomorrow possible.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's continue with the rest of the news desk. Zambia produced 439,644.29 metric tons of copper in the second quarter of 2025, up from 373,263 metric tons in the same period last year, authorities have disclosed. Small-scale miners contributed 39,477.8 metric tons, or 9% of total first-half production. Speaking during a press briefing, Mines Minister Paul Kabuswe says the output fell at 4 mines, including Sino Metals, which saw a 50.8% drop after closing in February 2025 due to a dam failure. He says government will launch a safety manual this month for artisanal miners to reduce fatalities.
Minister of Mines and Minerals Development Paul Kabuswe has updated the nation on the state of the mining sector, releasing new production figures and announcing policy reforms aimed at boosting growth and safety. Speaking at a press briefing, Mr. Kabuswe has revealed that Zambia's total copper production for the second quarter of 2025 stood at 439,644.29 metric tons compared to 373,263.9 metric tons in the same period last year.
I am glad once more to report that our mining sector continues to show positive growth trajectory. I wish to reiterate from the onset that the production statistics to be presented are actually cumulative. In the second quarter of this year, total production stood at 439,644 metric tons compared to 373,263.9 metric tons production during the same period in 2024, meaning by this second quarter we have increased production of copper by 17.78%, basically 18%. Of this figure, 39,477, which is about 9% of the total production in the first half, came from small-scale and artisanal miners.
However, the minister has noted that Sino Metals recorded a sharp 50.8% drop in output compared to last year.
And the overall mid-year production was dampened by reduction in production by 4 mines, namely Sino Metals Leach, which, as you may be aware, is still closed. That's where we had the pollution. FQM Trident, Nimbula, and Sino Chinyang. Sino Metals production significantly decreased by 50.87% relative to 2024 production during the same period. The decrease was due to the closure of the mine in February 2025, like I said, due to a dam failure.
On safety in artisanal and small-scale mining, the minister has announced that government will this month launch a pit-side manual, a guide to safe mining practices aimed at reducing accidents and improving standards in the sub-sector.
To improve safety in artisanal and small-scale mining, the ministry will roll out the newly developed pit-side manual this month, starting with Mufumbwe, Kasempa, and Impika, providing guidance on safe mining methods to address fatalities caused by a lack of technical knowledge in informal operations. The ultimate goal of the formalization program is to regularize mining operations in general and gold mining operations in particular.
The minister also highlighted ongoing policy and regulatory reforms alongside new investment opportunities, which he says will help drive Zambia's mining growth. Ray Chomumba for for Diamond News.
Instrument to operationalize the ATI Act number 24 of 2023. They have warned that delays risk missing the 21st of December 2025 deadline and continue undermining transparency and accountability. MISA Zambia says the Act's potential cannot be realized without a clear regulatory framework.
Access to information is the lifeblood of transparency, accountability and citizen participation in a democracy. And in Zambia, that right is now hanging in the balance. The Access to Information Coalition is pressing government to urgently sign and gazette the statutory instrument needed to operationalize the ATI Act number 24 of 2023. Speaking in Lusaka, Coalition Representative Ges Nurenda welcomed Cabinet's recent approval of draft regulations, but warned that without the SI, the 21st December 2025 compliance deadline could be missed. He cautioned that such a delay would not only undermine citizens' constitutional right to information, but also weaken Zambia's standing under regional and international treaties.
We therefore urge the government of the Republic of Zambia to expedite the issuance and gazetting of the SI to ensure that the legal framework for implementation is completed well within the statutory timeframe. In addition, ladies and gentlemen, we call on the Human Rights Commission as the oversight body established under the Act to issue the guidelines that will assist information holders in understanding their obligations.
Mr. Zambia Board Chairperson Lauren Chisanga echoed the agency, noting that while passing the ATI Act was a historic achievement, its promise will remain unfulfilled until the regulatory framework is in place.
Without the corresponding regulatory framework, its full potential cannot be realized. A robust and fully functioning ATI framework is essential for fostering good governance, empowering citizens and strengthening public trust in our institutions. It enables journalists, civil society, and ordinary citizens to access timely and accurate information, a cornerstone of any vibrant democracy.
Adds that citizens can sue government after the deadline.
We see that the time frame has gone and then the law has not come to be fully functioned. We can sue the government. Okay, so it's not just the coalition, it's all the Zambians. Everyone is the beneficiary to this law. Even the other citizens, not just in media.
For now, the call has been made. The deadline is looming and the question remains, will government act in time to turn the law on paper into a right in practice? Victoria Kayeye Yambani, Diamond News.
Over in Mazabuka, the District Commissioner Oliver Mulomba has urged expectant mothers in Chizobo Ward to give birth at health facilities following the opening of a maternity wing at Kangila Clinic. The 1.3 million kwacha facility was built using CDF, ending years of women walking up to 20 kilometers to reach a health center. Some women have recalled losing babies or dying en route in the past. And Mazabuka Central Member of Parliament, Garin Kombo, has also warned CDF loan beneficiaries to repay funds or face legal action.
After many years of struggling without a maternity wing in Kangila area of Chizobo ward of Mazabuka Central constituency in Southern Province, the new constructed maternity annex has finally been handed over to the community. During the handover ceremony, the Mazabuka District Commissioner Oliver Mulomba issued a stern warning against women delivering at home, urging expectant mothers to use the facility now that it is available.
I wish to appeal our birth attendants out there. I know you have done a commendable job previously before we had this facility here. Now that we have this facility, I emphasize, please refer all such cases to this facility. Nobody should deliver at home. In an event you make a mistake, you'll be held accountable. We don't want to have any losses of life due to deliveries. Yet you have such a facility just because our birth attendants, the traditional birth attendants, they want to continue.
After many years of walking long distances, the women here had every reason to smile and dance. The facility has now been brought closer to the people.
bamwe baina bagali kuyingirira akamboka kukula maternity ward so tulumbaga pati twakomana kukomani hali mtobika maulu kuli bahaka inda ali mtopede janza utakabi kufera gwendo lubolo kuhota tulayanda ali mtobaka kuzijirira bahaka inda gwenda nyamuli mpatu kupangira ibadala yese maternity ward kuli community onse izuba ward.
Meanwhile, during the presentation of a dummy check worth over 3.8 million kwacha, Mazabuka Central Member of Parliament Garin Kombo warned loan beneficiaries to repay their loans.
I want you to know that in this office, the briefing that I have got today is that those who got money in the first instance, those who have not paid back, some have got court orders, court summons. So as you receive this money, please be cautious, be careful. Toka iwu nkanswite itola 6 months uti women. Mu month number 7 twaku jana boji bajaga chani jaga yuma inswitagu amalita. So bagu mutola ku court mutagalundukiri kuli MP. Ati nyono mubweza maloni kuba mbuli mugaloti. Kujebuga uchikunda hilo kubalandita.
The handover ceremony was marked by celebrations in Mazabuka Central constituency as the community received the completed CDF projects and the check for loan disbursements. Helga Chibwe, Damo News, Mazabuka District in Southern Province.
We take another break. We have more news updates coming up. To stick around. Welcome back. Let's continue with the rest of the news desk. The Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, Charles Milupi, has emphasized the economic potential of the Chikankata Road upgrade, saying it will serve commercial farmers and unlock development in key agricultural areas such as maize and rice production. Speaking during the signing of contracts for 2 major road projects in Luapula and Southern Provinces at the Ministry of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, the minister has noted government's commitment to improving infrastructure across the country. He says Chikankata Road has been in a poor state for a very long time, and upgrading it will not only improve transport but also facilitate economic activities in the country. The minister has warned the contractor, China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation Limited, CCECC, against poor workmanship and has urged them to complete the project within the set time frame, highlighting that government is eager to provide proper infrastructure to citizens.
I think that that particular road will bring a lot of development in that area. There is so much potential for agriculture. I think Chifunabuli district is one of the most productive areas in terms of growing maize, rice, and they even have cattle there. And of course, potential for fisheries, aquaculture, and so on. So again, we thank you. And it has taken the New Dawn government to rehabilitate this very important road at a cost of 369,386,682 kwacha 01 ingwe. Even 1 ingwe, we will pay them. Additionally, and first, before I leave Chikankata, Chikankata itself is a mission that is very, very famous A number of our leaders in this country have gone through that mission. We are always thankful for the work of the Salvation Army and so on. So it's a pleasure, really, that this government is at long last going to make movements to that particular mission very, very easy. It also traverses very good and very active agricultural land. But I'm told that in terms of that area, the production from Chikankata is quite sizable. So this is an economic road that will service the commercial farmers there and the livestock farmers there. Also, the previous administration, we saw contracts being signed, work undertaken to very poor standards. This we will not tolerate going forward. Fortunately for you, there is one road which was done by the last administration, and it was of very high standard. Up to this time, it is still in very good condition. That is Luwingu to Mansa Road, on which I was 2 days ago. Today is Thursday, I was there on Tuesday. I was on that road on Tuesday. It's to excellent condition. I'm informed it was done by yourselves. So that quality we see there, we want to see it improved on these two roads on which we have signed.
More from the news desk. Zambia's smoking population has grown from 1.2 million in 2015 to a projected 1.5 million this year, with tobacco-related deaths more than doubling since 1990. Centre for Trade Policy and Development, CTPD chairperson Muketoi Wamunyima disclosed the figures at the inaugural Southern African Conference in Tobacco Taxation in Lusaka, warning that the country faces both public health crises and a financing challenge. He noted that non-communicable diseases linked to tobacco are straining the health system, yet tobacco control receives just 0.2% of global health aid. Meanwhile, the tobacco industry is aggressively expanding, introducing new nicotine products and exploiting weak regulations. The Zambia Revenue Authority Assistant Director for Taxpayer Services and Education, Mukukamlenga, urged renewed civil society action on health taxes, calling for credible research as well as stronger policy engagement and advocacy for robust taxation regimes across Africa.
1989 when the number of
Zambia's tobacco burden is rising, with an estimated 1.5 million citizens now using the product, up from 1.2 million in 2015. Health experts warn this addiction is costing the economy over 2.8 billion kwacha annually in treatment and lost productivity, while driving the surge in non-communicable diseases. The Centre for Trade Policy and Development, CTPD, says tobacco taxation remains one of the most effective tools to curb smoking and raise revenue.
In this time and age of climate change, we should be looking at sustainable practices for environmental sustainability. As CTPD, we strongly believe that tobacco taxation remains one of the most effective tools proven to cut consumption and raise revenue. A 10% price increase can reduce smoking by up to 8% in low middle-income countries. Countries like the Philippines and Thailand have used these revenues to strengthen healthcare. Zambia and other SADC countries must do the same.
At the inaugural Southern African Conference on Tobacco Tax, delegates are pushing for higher health taxes as a way to mobilize domestic resources, especially amid the country's debt and fiscal challenges.
Government made significant adjustments to our health regime, tax regime, particularly increasing the specific duties on cigarettes significantly from around 452 kwacha to 750 kwacha per 1,006 or milli as we call it in our circles, while maintaining the 145% ad valorem rate based on the retail selling price. And I just want to pause here. Over the last 5 years, this represents an almost 100% increase in tobacco taxation excise taxation to the tobacco sector.
Organizers have also unveiled the tobacco excise tax stimulation model, a data-driven tool to forecast the health and revenue impacts of different tax policies. Stakeholders from government, parliament, civil society and academia said the fight against tobacco is both a public health battle and an economic necessity, calling for regional unity and political courage to save lives while boosting sustainable development. Elfie Mwale Shampande, Diamond News.
That news item brings us to the end of tonight's edition of the News Desk. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Justin Mulenga. Good night.